They say childhood is a place of wonder, where the future is an open page. But what happens when a child does not just imagine tomorrow, but remembers it? Tonight, we explore the strange and unsettling phenomenon of children who claim to remember the future, a topic that sits at the crossroads of innocence, prophecy, and danger. Imagine a small room. A child speaks with unnerving certainty about events that have not yet occurred. The fall of a neighbor's tree, the exact words a stranger will say, the way a parent will behave in a crisis. The details are precise, delivered with the easy conviction of someone recounting a familiar memory. To the adults listening, these declarations are both mesmerizing and disorienting. Are they the result of imagination, coincidence, or something more difficult to explain? Historically, societies have often interpreted such children as sacred or cursed. In some cultures, children who foresaw events were treated as prophets, their words sought in times of hardship. In others, they were feared, ostracized, or exploited. The common thread is the adult reaction, a blurring of lines between reverence and control, curiosity and caution. When a voice that should be tender and contingent instead sounds absolute, it destabilizes the social order. There are psychological perspectives that offer less mystical explanations. Young children are prodigious pattern seekers. They absorb more than we give them credit for. Snippets of conversation, the rhythm of daily life, subtle cues from adults. Their brains build narratives to make sense of these fragments. When a child predicts an event, it is sometimes the product of unconscious inference, an astonishing leap of pattern recognition that appears prophetic. Cognitive scientists also note that memory is reconstructive. A child recalling the future may be weaving together prior observations and wishful thinking, which later align with actual events by chance. Humans are wired to remember hits and forget misses, so when a prediction comes true, it lodges in memory. When it fails, it is dismissed. But there are instances that evade neat explanation. Some children describe future events with such specificity and verifiable detail that coincidence strains credulity. Reports range from warnings that avert accidents to foretelling tragedies that later come to pass. In these cases, the label prophetic begins to feel less metaphorical and more literal. The ethical dilemma intensifies. What responsibility does an adult have when a child claims knowledge that could change outcomes? Do you act on the prophecy, knowing you may be creating a self-fulfilling loop or causing harm through interference? Or do you ignore the child and risk allowing avoidable suffering? The moral gravity is greater when the content harms the child's own well-being. Children who remember traumatic futures may be haunted by dread. They may develop anxiety, insomnia, or a sense of fatalism that robs them of play and growth. Adults responding with suspicion or exploitation compound the damage. There are documented cases where families, desperate for certainty, have placed children under intense scrutiny, medical tests, surveillance, even public exposure, turning a private distress into a spectacle. In such situations, prophetic innocence becomes a liability, a vector for adult anxieties. So what is the ethically sound response? First, prioritize the child's welfare over the veracity of their claims. Treat their experiences with respect, without amplifying fear. Create a safe environment where the child can express themselves and receive age-appropriate support, including psychological care. Balance curiosity with humility. Investigate when necessary, but resist turning the child into a repository for collective anxieties. Ultimately, the stories of children who remember tomorrow force us to confront our own attitudes towards certainty, control, and vulnerability. They remind us that innocence can be prescient, that a small voice may see edges of reality we prefer to ignore. And they warn us that the true danger lies less in the content of a child's memory than in how adults respond, whether with exploitation and fear or with compassion and measured care. In choosing our response, we decide not only the fate of the child, but what kind of future we are willing to remember together.